Today I got the third Samsung S90D 65 inches here in the US, and unfortunately it doesn't have the 2000 nits panel. And this is not relevant or important for most people, but that was the reason why I spent more money to get this TV. I let go a $760 S95C 55-inch deal. I let that go and spent more money thinking that the S90D here in the US at 65 inches was going to be the 2000 nits panel, because when you go to the ABS forums, there are some posts that are claiming that, okay? And people making these posts, they are knowledgeable people because you can see it. And unfortunately, that's no longer the case. I'm not saying that they were lying, but right now, in this moment, that is misleading information. And if they see this video, please update your post, because people like me would actually go and spend more money to get the TV. And that really, really sucks, okay? Now, I'm not going to... Yeah, I can fault Samsung a little bit because I'm sure they released this TV. They sent out the review units and the first, batch of TVs. And then, people make the reviews, people go to the forums and they say how amazing it is. Of course, you go to the service menu, you get more brightness. That's not for regular people, but at this point, many people know that these Samsung TVs are awesome because you can get more brightness on the service menu. And many people do this, okay? So it sucks that Samsung, after the word is out, they go and they nerf the brightness of the TV, okay? Because I'm sure this is a third generation QD OLED. How do I know that? Because I saw how first generation looks like. When I shine the flashlight of my phone, I know how the reflection looks like on first generation, second generation with the S95C, and now third generation. This is the third S90D. I know how they look like and what's the difference. So I know for sure this has a third generation QD OLED, and probably the same panel as the S95D, and it is just restricted by software. And let me tell you, if there is a way to install the S95D firmware completely, so this TV basically thinks it is an S95D, so I can get those 3000 nits, I am going to tell you all about it. I'm gonna tell you exactly how you can get that brightness. So we can middle finger what Samsung is doing here, because it is absolutely terrible in my opinion. Again, they are not advertising that you can go into the service menu to get more brightness, but that was the number one reason why I wanted to get a Samsung TV, because everyone knows about the issues with the software and the quality control, which is absolutely terrible. And this channel is a testament of that. I mean, this is the sixth Samsung TV I get for one reason or another. I was not swapping S90Ds hoping to get the second, the 2000 nits panel. So not only for that reason, okay? That was one of the reasons. But I had other issues with the TVs, okay? So everyone knows about the Samsung issues, okay? But the thing is, they are incredible, they are awesome. The number one selling point, in my opinion, is, of course, picture quality is amazing, the technology is amazing. But if you're an enthusiast like me, you know you can get more. You go to the service menu, you get more brightness. So Samsung restricting that absolutely sucks, okay? And it definitely matters. It definitely matters, even if they are not advertising that. Because think about this. You buy a CPU that everyone can overclock, okay? And of course, it depends on the sample. The lottery It's okay with me. I'm fine with that. But now, the Intel or AMD, they decide to restrict the overclocking capabilities. And now you get your CPU and you can no longer push it as hard as everyone else. See, it is a problem. It is definitely a problem. It's not the same because yes, these CPU companies, they do advertise that you can overclock and Samsung is not. But you get the idea, man. I bought a product that I thought I could get more out of it and I cannot. And that absolutely sucks. Now, it is a great TV and I still recommend it because I don't think you can get anything better right now. QD OLED is where it's at. And right now you have two options, Sony or Samsung. Sony, too expensive, and you cannot turn off the dimming on the service menu. You cannot get more brightness either. So that's a deal breaker for me. Plus Samsung has Game Motion Plus, which is very good, and I use it all the time. So yes, it's like you have no choice, basically. But I'm not happy with this, man. I'm not happy because I thought I was buying something better. Okay, I let go that Samsung S95C. 55 inches, it's a smaller screen size. Of course, I'm happier with the bigger screen size, it's better. But that Samsung S95C, I got it for $760, man. That was an amazing deal. And I decided to pay more money just because on this post, on the ABS forums, they were saying that guarantee in the US 2000 nits panel for the 65-inch S90D. They did say for the 55-inch it was the 1500 nits panel, but for the bigger size 65 and 77 you're getting the 2000 nits panel. Now I am not even sure about the 77 inches anymore. You might still get third generation 1500 nits panel, which is, it absolutely sucks. Imagine you got a 77-inch S90C, which for sure has the 2000 nits panel because there was no first generation 77-inch QD OLED. So that 77-inch S90C has second generation 2000 nits panel for sure. So imagine you have that, and now you go to this year, you buy your S90D 77-inch, and you find out it is capped to 1500 nits. That absolutely sucks, man. It should be illegal to do that, in my opinion. It's just absolutely terrible. But I'll try to figure out a way to see if I can install the firmware and all the software from the ground up, basically everything, to make this TV think it is an S95D so I can get 3000 nits, okay? And I will tell you all about it. Now, is that something possible? I think it is. For example, with the LG TVs, there is a way to install the software of a different model completely. I'm talking about you have a C2, for example. You can install the C1 on your C2, basically. Now the thing is, 120 BFI doesn't work because the C2 doesn't have the hardware necessary to do 120 OLED Motion Pro high, BFI at 120. So it doesn't work, but you can do it, okay? And that information is out there. And if you want to do something like that for some reason, you can go ahead and do it. So if people figure that out for the LG TVs, I don't think it's impossible for them to do it with these Samsung TVs at all. And I will definitely figure that out. If it is possible, I will find that information out there. And yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do it myself because it requires a lot of skills and things that I don't know how to do. But if the information ever comes out, I will find that out. And if you find that out, let me know, okay? And I will tell everybody, okay? And now, what's the big deal, man? 2000 nits, 1500 nits, who cares? It doesn't really matter. The biggest difference is not the peak brightness, because that's just on a very small window. That's not a big deal. The biggest difference is the full screen brightness. With the 2000 nits panels, you get like 100 nits more full screen brightness, okay? This S90C and the S95 and the S90D, they are like 200 nits full screen. But with the 2000 nits panel, you can get it over 300 nits. That matters a lot. That's a big deal because when you have higher APL, that is going to show you a big difference. It matters a lot. And yeah, man, I like the S95C, the way it looked. When it comes to brightness, I was like, I don't need a brighter TV in a while. This is amazing. So yeah, man, it just hurts that I lost that and I paid more money for it. Yeah, it is a big screen size. A bigger screen size is better. I like it more. And actually, between the S95C 55 inches and the S90C 65, even with that brightness difference, I was gonna keep the 65 inch for me. Also because the 55 was going to a room that doesn't have enough space anyway. But now I'm gonna have a 65 on the living room. And I'll keep the C1 on the room. But yeah, man. So let me show you actually. Let me go into the service menu, show you that. And also I'm going to share with you the initial settings and setup, because this is like out of the box. I haven't changed any settings. The HDMI is in unknown and all of that. So I'm going to share with you all the initial settings. What I do, I just turn on these Samsung TVs, all the things that I do to set it up for my PC, okay? So you can get something useful out of this video, not only me ranting about not getting lucky with the panel lottery. Although at this point, I believe this is what it is. There's no lottery anymore. This is what you're getting. This one was built in November 2024. The previous one was October 2024, and the first S90D was also November 2024. And the number in the back is FA02. Okay, I will post that in a community post. I've been posting the back label of all these TVs in a community post. So let me show you actually that this is the 1500 nits panel. So I have this remote. Again, a lot of people ask me, hey, what is this remote so I can buy it for myself? Look, I would not get paid for you to buy this remote. I can post an affiliate link, but I do not recommend this remote. It is crap, okay? And I didn't return it because I already have it. It was cheap. So I'm like, okay, it's easier to access the service menu, but you can use the color control app on a PC to access the service menu. You do not need this remote. This remote absolutely sucks. It is as cheap as it gets. It is so uncomfortable to work with. The buttons don't work very well sometimes. This is terrible. A terrible build quality. I've seen this remote from Samsung, and it is very good. I have no complaints about that remote. But this one is not original. This is like a Chinese copy that is very, very, very bad build. So I'm not posting the link for this remote, not even if I get paid. Okay, so I do not recommend this remote. Don't buy it. So yeah, you can use the color control app on a PC to access the service menu. But now with this remote, if you have it, it's info factory. Also, there is another remote that looks exactly the same, but it doesn't have this factory button. Okay, so if you go to the store and you see the remote, pay attention to this. If it doesn't say factory here under this red button, it has to say factory. So we press info, then factory, we access the service menu. Of course, do this at your own risk of voiding the warranty and all of that. I don't care, obviously. I don't care at all. So we go here, we press 0098. And we access to the advanced settings. You see, it didn't work. 0098. See, it's kind of Okay. Yeah. It's kind of buggy. So we go here to EPA, and you can see here, Anapic 1 and 2, 682. Now, someone commented on the videos or in the post that I share that it doesn't necessarily mean, if you have this 682 here, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is a 1500 nits panel. It could still be 2000 nits. But it is, because on this case, at least with these FA02 S90Ds that I've been getting. And how do I know that? Because I compared that with the S90C, and it's the same. Full screen brightness. So forget about settings or calibration. I just blast 10,000 nits full screen, and I'm not getting more than 200 nits here. I guess it's about the same, a little bit over 200 nits. It's nowhere close to the S95C, okay? And I measured that with the Lux Light meter app. So here's what I did. With the S95C, I blasted 10,000 nits video on the screen. And then I used the Lux Light meter app, and it has a calibration setting. And I lowered that to the minimum, and it was measuring like 330. Okay, which is not accurate, but that gives me a reference point. Now that S95C was measuring 330, these TVs are measuring like 220, 230, something like that. See? So it is like 100 nits difference, about 100 nits difference. So even if that measurement is inaccurate, the difference is huge, and I can see it with my own eyes. Just side by side, they look the same. So maxing out these numbers is not giving me more full screen brightness, which is what I can clearly see. So this is for sure 1500 nits, and you cannot get more full screen brightness. So even if you max out these two numbers, the only thing that you're going to do is to get higher peak brightness for very small highlights, okay? Which is not very noticeable. So you cannot get a lot more brightness. It doesn't really matter. Like, if you're concerned about voiding the warranty, this is not even worth it, honestly. The only thing that would be worth it by going into the service menu is to fix the active tone mapping. Because the active tone mapping out of the box is terrible. It's going to clip all the highlight details, and it's a mess, okay? And I can change the EOTF tracking here, so it is clipping perfectly, and you're not losing any details at all, but you can still get that higher APL feeling when it is possible, okay? So that is very important, and a lot of people are going to like that a lot. And I will do a separate video about that, because the active tone mapping out of the box is terrible, and you can get it perfect, almost perfect in my opinion. So yeah, that would be a reason to access the service menu. The other reason would be to disable the dimming, which we can do right now. We can disable the ASBL dimming by coming here to this QD option and turning this screensaver brightness from 7 to 0. I would do that because that's going to prevent the TV from dimming when you have a static element, or potentially, I'm not sure if Samsung suffers from the same issue that LG suffers, which is basically when you have a very dark scene that is long, the TV starts dimming because it thinks it is a static picture. I'm not sure if the same things happens with Samsung, but I would do this anyway. You just have to be mindful now if you do this, because if you have something static and you don't have a screensaver on the TV, and you don't have a screensaver on your PC, then it's a problem for image retention and all of that. But I don't think that's a problem. The TV automatically has a screensaver unless you turn that off. So that's what I would do. And the other thing that is very important, if you are using the or any of these TVs really, an LG, Sony, any of these TVs, if you are using them for PC gaming, you definitely want to remove this 4096 by 2160 resolution. I did a full video on that, link in the description of this video. It causes problem with stretching. In some games are going to look stretched, and it also messes up Nvidia scaling and DLDSR factors, because they go off the highest resolution that the TV has, which is 4096 by 2160. So the factor for the scaling is wrong. Okay? So you have to delete that resolution, not from the TV. It's still gonna be there. You delete it from the EDID that goes to the PC. So you can always reset and get it back if you want that for some reason. So to do that on these Samsung TVs, you have to disable DSC, display string compression. Now be very careful when you access this option menu. Do not click 2 times, because you're gonna reset the TV. Because after we click here 1 time, see, be careful, because you might do this and it takes some time because it's buggy, and you click it again and then you do the reset. But because this is so Chinese and cheap and and so badly built, it didn't even work when I pressed it 1 time. So let's do it again. See, that's a factory reset. So if you get one of these cheap things and you're like, it didn't work, and you press it again, you might reset the TV. And what's the problem with doing that? The problem is it's gonna reset the purchase date, if you have any. It's gonna reset the hours of the TV, and it is gonna reset all the history of the changes you did on the service menu. But the worst thing is that you're going to have a counter of the amount of times you reset the TV on the service menu. So yeah, if I'm going to, for example, buy one of these TVs in the used market, and I go to the service menu and it was reset, I'm like, yeah, you don't know how many hours the TV has, because you don't know, because it was reset. You don't know how many times they enter the service menu, all the changes that they did, if they changed the factory white balance or not. So that's a mess. So I would never do this factory reset. I already tried it with the S95C, so I know what it does. So we come here to this MRT option, and we change this game mode from 12 to 9. And what this is going to do, it is going to disable DSC, display string compression. So when you do that, you're gonna be able to use DLDSR on the PC if you have an Nvidia GPU, and you will be able to remove that resolution, which is very, very important. Okay, so we do this, and for now, I'm not gonna change the anything else. I'm not gonna change yet the AnaPic and do the mod. So you can follow me on this one if you don't want to do that. So then we just turn on and off the TV, and I will show you the settings. Turn it off, turn it back on again. You can go out of the service menu by clicking the factory button 2 times, and then again 1 more time. You will get a full white screen, and then you will be out of the service menu. But for these changes with DSC and all of that, I would recommend you to turn off the TV. So now, here's what we do to set up this TV. I use console mode because I use Game Motion Plus. Okay, let me check the recording. It's still good, yeah. So I'll show you the settings I use. It's kind of buggy right now. Let me go. It's not responding. It's kind of loading. I've never seen this happening this long. I might turn it off and back on again. Yeah, let me do that. When you turn this off, they are not completely off, because when you turn it back on again, it goes on so fast that it's like it was never off. Okay, so let's change this to console mode. It looks all blown out. I don't know why. Maybe because the TV is on SDR. So now this looks overly sharp. It looks terrible and blown out. I change it to console. Now we're gonna change this to game mode. Game mode on. So we change to console mode, game mode on. I'm gonna make sure that all the warm to, change it to warm to. Energy saving is off by default, but I'm gonna come here to power and saving. Make sure everything is off. I'm also going to come here to panel care and turn off this pixel shift, and the adjust logo brightness, I'm gonna turn that off. Now this pixel shift is okay, and I think it is a good, anti-image retention and burning feature. I think it's okay. It doesn't affect the brightness, but it is distracting to me that the screen moves, and especially because I am now using this two 65-inch side-by-side to do a surround, 32:9 or super ultra wide setup. If the screen starts to move, then the bezel correction that I do with the Nvidia surround is messed up because the screen is moving. So you do a bezel correction, so this line in the middle is as small as possible, and if you have something on a line, it looks like this instead of looking like this. So if I set it up and then the screen starts to move, that gets messed up. So that's two reasons why I turned that off. But it's good to use it. If you don't mind it, it's okay. It's not a terrible feature. As long as it's not dimming, it's okay for me. So now we come here to all settings. And I'm gonna make sure that the sharpness is at 0. Okay? I don't know why. It seems like they updated this, because on the S90C and S95C, the sharpness on console mode is at 0. And when you change to PC mode, it is at 10. So I don't know why they changed that here. Sharpness should be at 0 for console mode and at 10 for PC mode. That's how it works the best. So I'm gonna lower this color to 25 for now. I have not worked too much on the calibration of the S90D because I have not peeled it off yet. Okay, and I'm not sure if I will. To be honest, let's see. I'm thinking about it because I don't know. I'm not very happy with this, man, as you can see. But yeah, let me show you. Contrast enhancer off. HDR tone mapping static. Warm to. And color space settings, we're gonna go custom VD 2020. Color booster off. Peak brightness high. And we're gonna go to the expert game mode settings. Game picture expert. And we're gonna turn on game HDR to basic. Game HDR basic, and then game motion plus settings. I'm gonna turn that on. And we are all set. That is it. Let me show you the software version that it has. 12.01, the same software version as the previous TVs. I don't think that rolling back the firmware is gonna give me the 2000 nits capabilities. I don't think so, but I will also look into that. Maybe they cap it with the firmware update, and if you roll back the firmware to an older one, maybe the anapic value will change, or maybe even if it's the same, if you max it out, you can still get those 2000 nits and higher full screen brightness. I will also look into that for sure. So after doing that, I'm gonna actually, let me do that. Let me go to the Nvidia control panel. Let me close this game. I'm gonna show you what I do here on the Nvidia control panel. This is already fixed. The DLDSR is on and it is right. Yeah, DLDSR factor is on because I had it on, and the factors are right. And that resolution is no longer there. Oh, maybe because, yeah, because the thing is, I did the changes with the previous S90D and I connected the same S90D so the PC thinks it's the same HDMI port and everything. So yeah, I didn't have to do anything else. But if you want to see the process of eliminating that 4096 by 2160 resolution and everything that you have to do with the CRU app, link in the description of the video. I already show how to do that on the S90C, and it is exactly the same for the S90D. So you can have these factors here. You see this resolution, 5760 by 3240. That is 2.25x of 4K of 2840 by 2160. And you also have this 5120 by 2880. This is 1.78x of 4K. And yeah, I use this a lot, especially for older games that I can run very easily. This gives you more pixels and better anti-aliasing. So this is very, very good. And I use it all the time. So yeah, let's leave it there. Let me know your thoughts and opinions, and if you have any questions.